And any challenge that we have, so if you listen to this, you're going through a challenge. I don't believe that we're given challenges harder than we're able to handle.
I'm so happy to have Angela Bradford on the podcast for our second time.
It doesn't matter what happens for us or to us, depending on your perspective. It matters what happens through us and what we decide to do with it.
Most of us are very, very influenced by what other people think. You know, our commitments need to be greater than the challenge or the fear or the person or whatever it is. And that right there is a key to success.
So my commitments, I guess the biggest thing is my commitments are stronger than my fear of what other people think.
The thing that hit me is that the concept of persistence, that most failure is from people giving up.
When something tough happens, that's where you see if they're going to break or they're going to grow. You know, is the fire going to make them into a diamond or is it going to melt them? I think one of the biggest struggles for a lot of people is
Hey guys, how are you today? It is Alison from Alison Answers and Logger Counseling Services. I'm so happy to have Angela Bradford on the podcast for our second time. And one of the reasons I asked Angela to come on is because I am so admiring her and her resilience and her beauty and her commitment to just keep moving and going forward. And it's important to me not to label Angela with a diagnosis because I don't like that. We don't do that here either. But Angela has been diagnosed with an illness that I'll let her tell you about to the degree that she wants to tell you. But what I observe is Angela, in spite of all the seeming odds that seem to be against her, she continues to press forward, not only emotionally, spiritually, financially, but physically, in spite of like great odds. And there's been so many videos I've seen of you, Angela, where like, on the beach, that one got me. Like I just cried. I was like, that is effing amazing. You know, amazing that you went along that beach and were able to get into the water in spite of the odds. And I'm going to let you explain it, but I just want to start there. And we're going to share this podcast on both Angela's podcast and mine. So Angela's
Yep.
podcast is One Starfish. We all know the story, I believe, but we'll let Angela say it also. So welcome, Ange. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh man,
Tell us about
great to,
your
great to be here.
diagnosis and how you move forward every day like you do.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. You are an incredible human and friend. And anyone that's lucky enough to know you, you guys are lucky.
Oh,
If you don't know Alison really well yet, make sure you get to know her more. I'm glad to be on her podcast. And yes, my podcast, One Starfish with Angela Bradford, is a story of starfish. So the poem, if you Google One Starfish, there's this girl and she's on the beach and she's throwing the starfish back in the water that had washed up because they'll die. And she's throwing him back, and this older gentleman comes along and he says to her, well, you can't save them all because there's literally thousands on the beach. And she throws one back and she says, yes, but I can save this one. And I just think, that's the purpose of my podcast. And I just think that's the purpose of our life, is to help one person at a time. And the ripple effect is massive if everyone helps like one person. And where that can go, because you never know who that one person is that you can, completely change your life. And I think that's a lot of the motivation for me when you talk about the resilience. I was diagnosed with MS in 2019, and I'm the same way. I don't believe in a diagnosis. I believe in healing and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes things do happen, and it's definitely affected a lot of my life. And I guess I just have chosen to think that everything happens for a reason. And any challenge that we have, so if you listen to this, you're going through a challenge. I don't believe that we're given challenges harder than we're able to handle. And for some people, you might be like, holy moly, I have a lot of challenges. I'm like, well, then you must be a very strong person, because I don't believe that we're given challenges we can't handle. And to the level that we can handle them will determine the level that we, achieve in life and get places in life and help others get places in life. And so, the days that I don't feel like getting out of bed and everything hurts or whatever, I just think about like, how blessed I am. So I always choose to focus on what is going well instead of what is not going well. Like the fact that maybe my legs don't always work like I want them to, but I have legs. And there's people that maybe listen to this that don't have legs. And I know people like that. And so I'm grateful for the fact that I have legs. So I tell my legs how beautiful they are and I'm thankful for them. And if they don't always quote, they let me down sometimes. I'm like, but that's okay. At least they're there and they're
Yeah.
trying their best. And so I choose to like look at things, I guess, that way. And then we said I believe we're put here to help others. And so a lot of times that's what I think about. I'm like, it's not about me. It's about the people that I can help and the difference that I can make. And if even like this podcast inspires one person to make a difference, I just believe that's what we're here for. And when our time on earth is done, well, we're done. And until then, we're there for a purpose.
And you know what? But this attitude that you and I both have this perspective that things in our life are happening for us and not to us.
Hmm.
And that, and I was in a group once. It was actually when I was hospitalized from an eating disorder forever ago. And I was in a group and they had everyone write down their worst problem and put it in the center of the room. And then they said, okay, now go and take one of the pieces of paper and bring it back. And if you get your own, just, choose another one. And then they had each of us read, everybody's deepest, darkest problem. And some of them were secrets, right?
Right.
And everyone had an opportunity to keep their problem or to keep the one that they took, someone else's, or to keep their own. And every person in the room said they wanted their own problem back.
Mhm.
And I find it interesting because I do believe, as I look at my life now and go back on my life and I look at each one of these experiences, although maybe someone would look at it and be like, oh my God, I could never do that, is
Mhm.
these are the things that I believe God has allowed us to have to create something in us. We're so conditioned to believe that these negative things are bad, that we see them as bad. But
Mhm.
good comes out of them if we allow it.
Yeah.
They really like the juice is only worth the squeeze if we decide for it to be, right?
Yeah. And I mean, good or bad is all a mindset.
It is.
Really is, I think there's a story of that guy that had, I don't know, I'll probably butcher it, but he had a son that like, some of you guys probably heard it. I know you have, where he gets kicked by a horse and he breaks a leg and his friends are like, oh my gosh, that's so bad. He's like, I don't know. We will see. And then the military come and they take everyone but his son and his son doesn't go and they're like, oh wow, that was so good. And then like it was just like one after the other things like that. I don't remember the whole thing. You probably maybe remember that. But it's like people are always like, that's good or bad. But the farmer was always like, I don't know that it is. We will see. And so, and I think that that's a lot of it. I mean, we don't even know, quote, like something negative, quote unquote, is not necessarily negative in the long story of our life. And maybe it's, actually the positive that if it hadn't have happened, then there would have been a negative, if that makes sense. So it's
Right.
like, you never know what, like sometimes, you're held up in traffic and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm late for this meeting. And because you're late, you don't get in the accident. We don't know what the things are that help us. We're not God. So we
Yeah.
don't know what are like all the steps. So like
Mhm.
something like this diagnosis, maybe it's been the big, I mean, I know it's been the biggest thing for me, and maybe it's helped me prevent me or stop me or move me forward, whatever it is in the direction I want to move, or stop me from something that maybe would have been bad. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. So, but I can choose to look at it as a positive thing instead of a negative thing. And I
Do
think
you,
that's like a choice.
what do you feel like if you could think of just like three things that ways that it's benefited you?
Well, it's definitely helped with my personal development on a
Mm.
big scale.
Mhm.
I definitely wouldn't be the person I am today without it. Um,
How
it's
come?
it well, lots of different things, I guess. Obviously, I'm in the financial industry, so I was my first claim payout. So the belief in what we do was massively growing, which of course helps my belief in selling what I sell.
I didn't even
So that
know
was
that. Can you
Yeah.
tell? What do you mean? I didn't know
So
that.
in Canada, they have something called critical illness insurance. In the States, it's a critical illness benefit. It's a little different, but in Canada, so when I got diagnosed, I got $100,000. And
Okay, I didn't know
so
that.
that was my first payout. And I remember when the check came in and I was crying because I was like, wow, what I'm selling really works. Because I'd been in the industry for, 3 years or something at that point. And so, but I hadn't seen it actually in progress. And so after that, I was like, everyone needs this. This is needed. Like, no one can tell me no, basically. Like, everyone needs it.
Wow.
And so the belief in what I was selling was massively, which I believe that attributes to a lot of my financial success on that level. And so that was huge. And then that year, I read a book called The Circle Maker on the Power of Prayer. And
Oh,
it's, I mean, through the years, but that was the start of really like I've always been a Christian since I was like 3. But that's where things started to really solidify, where I was okay with talking about it when I realized, that was, and I'm still working on that, but getting stronger and stronger in my faith. That's been
mhm.
huge through this journey. Would not have happened without the struggles for sure. So that's massive. And through that, I've helped, other people see that also, which I mean, really, that just like, that's what we're here for. I feel like we're here to,
Yes,
help people see literally the light and God. And
right.
so that would not have happened without the diagnosis and then the continual like growth through the diagnosis, because there's always like new challenges, I guess you could
Yeah,
say. And so every time there's a new challenge, I've had to dig deeper,
yeah,
deeper into my faith. Because, interesting enough, when I was diagnosed, that wasn't the worst day of my life, quote unquote. Like I was kind of excited, a kind of weird mindset I have. I was excited. It was a challenge. I was like, perfect. I don't believe in forever. So I'm like, it'll be healed and da da da. And then it wasn't.
yeah,
And then 6 years later, it's not gone and I'm still struggling with it. And it was like that's where it actually got harder. Was probably like last year was probably one of the hardest ones for me
yeah,
because just it really took me down. My health really took a shit kicking.
yeah,
And so that was harder for me because now it's been so long. And I'm like, okay, I was doing good, but it's like year after year after year after year of this like the continual like water banging on the rock. Where's
yeah,
the rock down? And so I've had to like the last year, and now I feel like I'm in the best place of my life coming out of it, but it was dark. And I had to really dig deep for like, I mean, I wasn't like I was negative really, but like it was hard.
yeah,
And um, because it was like, well, how long? Like, when's this done? Like,
yes,
holy moly, is it going to keep getting worse? Am I going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life? And I just had to
yeah,
come to terms with all of it. And yeah, and my faith has got stronger. And my belief has got stronger, and realizing that it doesn't matter what happens for us or to us, depending on your perspective. It matters what happens through us and what we decide to do with it.
love
And
that.
and I know because of this, like I said, it's been powerful for my business, which is, one of the things, I guess, like I said, financial success, but more helping other people has been more my thing on it. And my faith and
Yeah,
just, connecting with more people that, I've been really blessed, like people like you, and there's a lot of people in Arte and stuff like that. And I think because of it, I've connected with people I never would have connected with to the degree that we have. People like Ed, people like Andy that um I don't know if it would have been just I was just a different human 6 years ago.
hmm,
I was a good human, but we're definitely a different human. And it keeps reminding me um of my frailness also, and that I need people, and then I need to like help rely on people more. So all those things, yeah, wouldn't have happened without diagnosis.
So, yeah, because you are so strong. Like you're like a spitfire. I always like say a picture of you like when you're like a little kid, you're probably like just
Oh yeah.
firecracker. And I
Yeah, it's
think like,
crazy.
one thing that stands out is the something you posted. And is it okay if I say it about the
Oh
beach?
yeah. Oh yeah.
So in that post, if anyone hasn't seen it, Angela is, on the sand and you can see the water ahead, but Angela has to get to the water. She wants to swim, or be in the water. But the recording shows Angela basically dragging herself through the sand into the water. But it's a distance. It's not like a short distance. Okay? So, and the thing that just marked that what that stood out to me is like, first of all, the vulnerability of sharing in that way, showing yourself in that way. Like for any of us, like if I fall outside, I don't want anyone to see me. Like I wouldn't let somebody see me drag, you know? And I'm like, but you're just openly showing this. And there's something very, very special and intimate about that. And I'm just curious. And you came out like kind of happy. So, like, because you wanted to go in the water and you just did. So, can you just take us to that moment? You're at the sand. I mean, there's a distance.
Well, I had to go swimming because I work out every day. So, and I was like, swimming is really good exercise. And
Yeah.
so I have to, like, I'm like, well, I mean, I don't have to go swimming. I could do other stuff, but that's really good for me. So I'm like, well, I'm here and the water, when it's windy, I don't go out. I've learned that. I tried that. That didn't go well. So go out when the water's half calm. And so I'm like, okay, but I got to get to the water. And being a walk with the cane, I can't take the cane in the water. And so I have to get to the water. So I was like, how do I get it's not that long. I mean, it looks long when you're crawling, but like it's really not that far. And I was like, how do I get like that distance? And I was like, because I don't want to, because I hate, because yeah, when I fall, I'm always like, it hurts. So I'm like,
Yes.
okay, how do I get there? And so I was like, well, I could crawl. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I can crawl. I mean, I used to crawl as a kid. We all did. So like, we can go back to childhood. And so as crawled, which, touching on, guys are listening to this, I will put a shameless plug. I'm going to be climbing a mountain this year and possibly crawling up the mountain. We're going to get gloves and knee pads, and our goal is to raise $50,000 for MS. So that is what we're on a mission to do. That'll be happening this fall, and that'll be a crawl experience if we're crawling. But yeah, I was just like, well, I got to crawl, and it was funny though because there's like seashells. And so it's
Yes.
really soft on the sand, but in the seashells, it actually hurts. I was
Yes.
like, this is actually painful. But then once I'm in, I do my swimming and it felt good. And then like, yeah, I mean, you just got to do what you got to do. And someone's like, I'm like, yeah, it's embarrassing. I'm like, this is kind of embarrassing. Someone's like, oh, it's inspiring. I'm like, if it's inspiring and someone's watching me, they better come help me. Like, and
Exactly.
now I have the guy that cleans the beaches. He's so awesome. He sees me because I fell once. So now
Oh,
he's like, oh, so now he like comes to help me every time. If he's there, he helps me get to the water. He helps me get out of the water. He helps me get to my chair. He's just like super helpful.
love
Um,
that.
which is awesome. So I'm like, if someone's watching me, they should probably help me. Like,
Yes, of
so I'm just doing
course.
this for fun. Um,
Can
but
I ask you
but it works
something?
out.
When you
Yeah.
when you were there and you started to crawl, see, one of the things I very much relate to, it's not the same, obviously, but when you're
Yeah.
presented with a difficulty, the first thing I always do, it's interesting. I haven't heard you think like this, but it makes sense. That's exactly how I think. I'm like, okay, this, like when there's a big challenge, it could be at work, whatever it is, it feels impossible. I'm like, you know what? But how am I going to do it? I can do it. It's just step by step. How am I going to figure this
Yeah.
out? And I heard your thinking. This is a part I want other people to hear. Most of us are very, very influenced by what other people think. And, I might be the person who doesn't drag myself to do something, literally or figuratively in the way that if I felt it wouldn't look like the norm, and what I'm curious about is how were you feeling or thinking anything about like if there's a bystander,
It's
obviously they should help you.
it's very much in my mind. Oh yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, by this point, like I said, we're 6 years in.
Yeah.
I don't, I've lost, I mean, I've peed my pants in public. I've
Mm,
crapped myself. Like I've
mm.
fallen multiple times. I've pretty much done everything. I mean, not that it doesn't bother me, but it's all happened so much that I'm just kind of like, oh well.
Yes.
Like to a degree, it still bothers me. It's still like, I don't like crawling. I'm like, this is kind of like crazy. But then I'm like, but I want in the water more than I care what other people think. You know,
Love that.
and I also like committed that I work out every day. So that has to happen whether I feel like it or not. So my commitments, I guess the biggest thing is my commitments are stronger than my fear of what other people think or myself. Like I said, it still bothers me. It's not like it doesn't, like I have no shame or no embarrassment a lot when I do stuff. That's still there. But my commitments are stronger than that. And so, and that's something that I know I've developed over the years, developed from a childhood where like I've committed to, like I said, working out, whatever it is, doing whatever the things are, and whether they're hard to do or not, it doesn't matter because I've got to do them. And
Yes.
so it's just a non-negotiable. So I think that's where, like, for a lot of people, it's a negotiable. And when it's a non-negotiable, it doesn't matter what it looks like or how it feels. Like now I said, like we're climbing a mountain, and now that I've told a million people the kind of thing, I'm like, now it has to happen. Like now it's a commitment. It's not like, oh, this will be fun. Like freaking then part of me is looking at this mountain that's like 8 miles there and back, and I'm like, I don't know who thought this one up. I don't know who thought this was a great idea, but apparently I thought it was at one time, and now it's out there. So it'll happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. I really don't know. I have friends coming, so hopefully they can drag me up the mountain. Maybe they'll piggyback me. I don't know. We're going to get up the mountain and back somehow.
I
Not
love
sure
it.
how. Stay tuned. It'll be videoed, and we're gonna get all the stuff on it. So stay tuned. I'm not sure how it's happening, but
I
it's
have so many
happening.
questions, but there's no way I'm getting off this one trail. Because what you were saying, it's funny I say trail. Um, One of the things you're saying that's so powerful for every one of us, no matter what the circumstance, is that, our commitments need to be greater than the challenge or the fear or the person or whatever it is. And that right there is a key to success. And what I was thinking about you, and I was picturing you, I was visualizing you crawling on that beach, and the video, honestly, come on. And the video is like showing your ass and stuff. It was just like hard, like a hard thing to do. I'm
But
sorry,
I
I'm
look
just saying.
sexy. I do look
You
really
do, no,
sexy.
you look sexy. I
I'm
mean,
like, for
you
anyone
gotta,
watching, I
yeah,
actually look pretty sexy. I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
oh,
oh,
I look pretty
right.
sexy. I like
Like,
some
whoo, look
Baywatch
at my
going on there.
butt.
You know?
Exactly. Well, that's good. See, that's a positive attitude.
I know.
But it's vulnerable, right? So
It is.
now the thing I was just thinking is probably because it's so in my mind. I'm reading Think and Grow Rich again for the thousandth time, right? I have like
Yeah.
highlighted
Such a
everything in the spot, the persistence, the decision and persistence, definiteness of purpose, all of these things so like you have the desire and then you have, you have the specialized knowledge. How are you going to get into the water? But the thing that hit me is that the concept of persistence, that most failure is from people giving up. And that if you push long enough, hard enough, and do it, when you were just, it's not just the beach, when you were talking about 6 years in, and I remember you be like the thing about, going to the bathroom in public and about like, this is so long, but
hmm
it's that person who just goes to that next step. And like that push is the thing that bring like how can like it's like and it talks about in Think and Grow Rich. I probably read that today because of you that we're going to be here today. So it's like it talks about, and I'm going to butcher the wording, but it's kind of like he's describing how somehow the forces of the universe, God Almighty, you I'm going anyhow. I'm doing it more, and like finally it gives in. Like you have to get what you're pursuant of.
hmm
And
It's true.
you just won't surrender. You won't give up. Burn the ships. You're the burn the ships chick.
Yeah, I like it.
You
It's true.
are.
It's true.
And it's like we need
No.
to, this is, and also like the thing you describe about that you're the person who received the money or the benefit of the thing that you're selling. Like, how many of us, like, I'm in my calling. So, like, I received the benefit of being helped out of my dark days. So now
Mhm.
I do that for others. And it's like, it's incredible. Do you ever talk to people who have MS and like, do they ever reach out to you or, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
hmm And do you
Yep.
like feel like, do you find that a lot of people don't have as much, positive perspective as you do? Like maybe more like feel defeated?
What I see is like actually there's a lot of really positive people with MS specifically. It's pretty
Oh,
impressive
good.
actually.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And then there's a lot of people that are obviously struggling.
Mm.
And I think one of the biggest struggles for a lot of people um is the, like I think of this too, like if I was in a normal world, a lot of them, it's how other people treat them or how like, they need rest or they need more like more downtime, which I do too. Fortunately, I can take it whenever I want to. And for a lot of people they can't. And then they lose their jobs or whatever. And then money becomes the biggest financial like that's the thing. When people are dealing with health, money is probably one of the hardest things for people to deal with, or I should say lack thereof. And that's where things get really tough for a lot of people that are dealing with any kind of health challenges. Because not
Yeah.
only are, that's something I'm so grateful for. Like, if you're dealing with health challenges and dealing with money challenges, that makes things a lot tougher.
It really
And I think
does.
for a
Yeah.
lot of people, that's what they're dealing with. They're dealing with both.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm impressed. Like I've got a few friends that have MS and they're just like, they're fighters, man. They're champions. And, and then you have people that are like, quote, healthy and they're complaining because they've got a runny nose. And you're like,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously I'm exaggerating, but there's a lot of that. And it's kind of like people are like, I'm tired. I'm like, you don't know what tiredness is. Like, you have no idea. Like, you have no idea.
I just want to
So,
kill people when they say they're tired.
yeah, I'm like,
Why is
you
that?
don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. So I just think that, yeah, so shout out to any MS warrior man listening to this, man. You guys are champions because I know what you're going through. And I mean, everyone affected differently for sure, but I know some of it. And, most people don't. And
Yes.
that's like any other challenge, like someone going through cancer or something like, I don't understand that. I've got a good friend going through that right now, and she's a freaking champion too. And just how she's staying in a positive mind through the surgery, through the chemo, through the sickness, through the, oh, like that. And it's just like, and that's where you really see what someone's made out of.
Yes. This is true.
When
This
something
is
tough
true.
happens, that's where you
Hmm.
see if they're going to break or they're going to grow.
Yeah.
Is the fire going to make them into a diamond or is it going to melt them?
Yeah. Right.
And and here's the thing, if it's melted you before, you can choose to not let it melt you going forward. You
Mhm.
can make as a person, you can make that choice to change anytime you want and become the person that you were meant to be and become the diamond in the struggle. You like, become that strong, best version of yourself instead of fighting, to and giving up.
Yeah. I was just doing this recording and I was saying how with all the different issues that people struggle with, one of the things we see as the biggest ill that people have is the victim mentality. And it is the biggest, I think it's almost like a curse because it's so compelling to be loved and seen as a victim and to be like coddled in that way until people get sick of it. But the
Mhm.
it is really, to me, if we can understand the power we have within and that everything is
Mhm.
inside, everything. We are the creators, co-creators with God. And this isn't the only life. Like there's so much more, right? And I know I want to be very respectful of your time because we just got on here for our quick shoot, and I know you have a meeting, and I could see the clock right behind you. So tell us any like last words of wisdom that are important to you that you would want someone to know. It doesn't matter if it's a physical struggle. I just want to say something quick. The physical struggle, to me, that terrifies me. I don't even want to say that out loud, but all like the emotional struggle, the where people really believe that there's no way out. There's no way that this is going to get better. And I've hit that road so many times and overcame. And I just wonder what you would say to somebody at that point.
You're never given a challenge you can't handle.
Exactly.
I just really strongly believe that.
I
And
believe it.
so if the challenge you have seems overwhelming, it's not. Like you can handle it or you wouldn't have it. I'm not saying God gives it to you, but
Yeah.
he's there for you
Yeah.
and he gives you the strength to handle it. And if
Yes.
I didn't have that strength in God, I mean, I would have a hard time handling this.
Mm.
So it is hard to handle on your own, but there is someone stronger that, immeasurably stronger that can help us through any tough time. And when you're with someone like that beside you, you can literally handle everything. And I will say, in saying that, you are human, and it's okay to cry. Something they told me. It's okay to sit on the couch and eat a gallon of ice cream and cry. And I was told that the first day I got diagnosed by someone else with MS, who's a major champion fighter. And that just has always helped me. I'm like, okay, so if I have a moment where I need to cry, hey, that's okay. Then
Yes.
just get back up and go to work. And
Yes.
so, I think that fits anything in life,
Yeah.
whatever it is. It's okay to have a down moment, but just don't
Hmm.
let it become like, get it shorter and shorter. How fast can you get off the mat and, process and keep moving physically, or, sometimes maybe not physically, maybe you need to sleep all day. There's days like
Hmm.
that where,
Yeah.
physically or whatever, emotionally you need the downtime. We'll take the downtime,
Hmm.
but know that there's always tomorrow and you can get up and go.
Yeah. And the thing also is just incredible. I know with like different addictions is that we can start over at any moment in the day too. Like you just
Yeah,
mentioned that, like people will be like, binging, purging or whatever it is, whatever it is they're doing during the whole
right.
day. And then 4 o'clock right there, 4 o'clock, you have an appointment, but you can like change, say, you know what, I decide, I'm going to live today. Right.
That's
So
right.
listen, with all of that, I want to thank you so much, Angela, for being here. You're always such a special, just person to be around, so inspiring and just such a good friend. And I just want to thank you again for being here. Just a little touch of Angela. We'll have her more again.
Well, thanks, Alison. It's been great to be here, and I'm excited that you're on my podcast too. So thank you.
Yay! Okay, it's a wrap.